Welcome to another episode of The Profile. My name is Gary Dunn and I'm your host. And tonight, on the couch or chair, one of the smoothest country music singers in Australia. Always original, always interesting, and thanks to ProCopy, of course. Please welcome Mr. Pete Busher. How are you, Pete?
Good, Gary. How are you, mate?
Yep, really well, thanks, mate.
That's good.
Just want to start with where were you born, Pete?
I was born at Woodside Hospital, East Fremantle, in 1961.
Wow, Woodside Hospital, that's memories for me because my eldest daughter was born there in, I think, 86. Or,
yeah, right.
Which was obviously 25 years after your birth.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of good people came out of Woodside Hospital.
Yep. Mate, what instruments do you play?
I play guitar. Primarily, I play rhythm guitar. I try to play lead guitar sometimes, but I leave it to people who are more equipped than I am to do that. But I have a go at it.
Yeah. So what was the turning point in your life as a youngster, possibly, that brought you to your career?
Well, my dad was a musician, and I knew from when I was a kid that that's what I wanted to do. So it was an easy decision for me. It was all I ever wanted to do.
Yep. So, having said that, and that excitement as a youngster, what was the first concert you would have gone to?
Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah.
I think it was 1971 or 72, $3.99 it cost. Supported by Sherbet at Subi Oval.
Yeah.
And it only came to me years later. I can remember sitting there and I was about 10 years old, and I can remember these people in front of us, and I thought, geez, these people have got no money. They must be really poor. They're all smoking the same cigarette. And it wasn't until years later that I went, ping. Oh, I know what they're doing.
Oh, that's very funny. So what would have been the last concert you went to, and did that sort of thing go on at the last concert?
No, Bruce Springsteen at the new arena, and no, there was none of that going on.
No, they would have got thrown out, wouldn't they?
Yeah, no, none of that.
Do-gooders would have seen to that. Look,
yeah.
What was the first album you would have bought?
The first album I bought was The Essential Beatles, which was like a greatest hits Beatles album.
And so you branched into country, obviously.
Well, my dad always played country music, so I heard a lot of it around the house. My dad's auntie married a US sub-captain in 1946 and moved to Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas. Yep. So she always sent my dad all the latest records. So we had a lot of stuff that you didn't get in Australia, so I sort of grew up with the really early Johnny Cash albums and Bob Wills, George Jones, Buck Owens, Ernest Tubb, all that stuff.
And just a synergy straight away for you fell in love.
Yeah, I'd always like Hank Williams was big in our house, and it was. I heard it a lot when I was a kid, and my dad played it. So it was always my first love, but I love the Beatles as well, so I always had this thing with classic pop music and country music. And
so your earliest influence as a musician by a band would have been all of those?
Yeah, and my dad was probably my biggest influence when I was a kid. Yeah. He had some great bands, some really good players at the time. Yeah. And so they'd rehearse in the lounge room and stuff, so that was it, yeah. I used to draw like amplifiers and guitars on all my school books. It was like
fantastic. Yeah, living the dream.
Yeah, well, it was sort of encouraged, which was great.
Yeah, fantastic. So previous bands, I think you started with Silent Type. Might have been the first band I saw you in with Sean Higgins in the early 80s.
Yeah, Sean Diggins, Ross Philpott, and my long-time collaborator Simon Goodridge. We were all friends from when we were teenagers, and Simon and I played together. We had a band called The Neighbours before that, and we were the first young band to play at the Cottesloe on a Friday night. Wow. When we started, there was only Mike and Mario in the front bar, and Athol and Jerry Higgins owned the pub then, and we used to set up with a column PA system. Yeah. Simon and I playing two acoustic guitars with bugs on them through the same amp. And
the old M&R column system or whatever.
Yeah, and we had little bugs on our acoustic guitars into the same amp, PV amp.
All that noise.
I don't think it was very loud, but every now and again, like nearly every week, Jerry Higgins, Athol's wife, would walk straight into the band while we were playing and start unplugging things because she reckoned it was too loud.
So Never Never had a single bigger in Texas. You did a reunion a few years ago, I believe.
We did. Silent Type sort of morphed into the Never Never. Sean left, Phil Morgan joined.
I saw you guys in Sydney when we were touring.
Yeah, we lived in Sydney for about 4 years.
Yeah.
We did what every band then did. You know, you went to Sydney to get a record deal.
Yeah.
Because really, that was what happened. So we went from... Silent Type were managed by Brian Peacock, who managed the Eurogliders as well. And so he sort of worked us a lot. We were doing 12, 13 gigs, maybe more a week sometimes,
Crazy,
which you could do
it?
then.
Yes.
And we went off the road after 18 months, went off the road like $3,000 in debt, and the Eurogliders went to Sydney. So we sort of had a bit of a hiatus, and then Phil joined. We came back as the Never Never. And we'd done so many gigs that we had a really great core of people.
Well, Phil was such a nice guy and a great bass player.
He's a great guy and a great bass player, and he's a really good friend, you know.
Yeah, I haven't seen him for years.
He's still going well.
Please give him my best.
I will. He's a good man.
Because then it was Dude Ranch, I think, with Kent and Lucky Oceans then came on the scene with you.
The Never Never, we played here, and then when we came back, after about a year, we moved to Sydney, and we played all around New South Wales. We played everywhere and trying to get a record deal.
Yeah.
And we sort of came close a few times. We got offered a couple of deals, but others not the right deals. And then we came back here, and we straight away, we made good money as an original band.
Yes.
We did really well. And then I got to the stage where I'd formed Dude Ranch with Kent Hughes, and then Lucky joined, and I got more serious about that band. Richie Danker joined, and
because you released a self-titled album, or
we did
with James Hugel, I think at that time.
We did. We recorded at Planet, and we did an album, and I just sort of got to the stage with the Never Never. We'd done it for a long time. The band had been going for about 10 years, and I was really enjoying the Dude Ranch, so I sort of moved over to that, and then we did the album. We toured on the back of that album.
That sold all right as well at that time.
Yeah, it sold really well, and we got nominated for a Golden Guitar with the band, and that band went for probably about 8 or 9 years.
Just on the Golden Guitar thing, you actually won a Golden Guitar, didn't you, at the Tamworth?
I won a Golden Guitar with some guys I worked with on the East Coast called the Feral Swing Cats, which is Stewie French and Michelle Rose, Dougie Gallagher. Incredible players, like, probably the A-team of the country music players in Australia. Do
you know if Al Simpson, a producer, ever won a Golden Guitar?
I don't know whether Al Simpson won a Golden Guitar. Not sure, I have to ask him.
Well, I heard you stirring him up earlier.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. He's coaching Swans these days, isn't he?
I think he might have won a couple, actually, Al.
Well, he could have.
He does.
He's probably melted them down and done things with them since then.
So after that, you move into your solo career with your father's footsteps, released in 1995, is it?
Yeah, it would have been around then. That was after the Dude Ranch. I made that album, and that was the lineup of the band then I used on that album, supplemented with some other players, really good players, Bob Patient.
Yes.
Jim Fisher was on the album. Yep. Michelle Rose played steel on it, came over from Sydney to play on it. And so various lineups of that band are still going.
If you don't mind, I think you missed out one of my favourite guitar players, Greg Bird.
Greg Bird played, Greg Birdie played on the album and played in the band for quite a few years, and Greg's just a monster of a player.
Yeah,
he's a great telly player.
I wish I could play like him.
Well, Greg can play lots of instruments. He's a good pianist. He plays drums. He's like one of those guys that really should have one of his arms cut off.
I've got something written here about the Seven City Boods, but I'm sure it was the Seven City Dudes. I think the producers let me down here.
Yeah, it was the Seven City Dudes, which was a band which
went to Tamworth.
Yeah, we went to Tamworth quite a few times, and that was a band which was had members of the Mag 7, Dude Ranch, and No City Limits, which was Alvin Poole's band.
That's right.
And we went to Tamworth 3 or 4 times with that band, and it was a great band. It was a bit of a super group in a way.
Are there any significant funny stories that we've never heard before that you might be able to tell us?
I don't know whether I can tell any stories from that band. We used to go to Tamworth. We'd stay in the same house every year, and there's some shenanigans went on in that house. But nothing I could convey.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's Pete Busher and the Lone Rangers, and you recorded an album which had a very funny heading, which was beer today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah, I went to Texas in 2000, and I went there for a holiday, and I'd met this guy in Tamworth called Earl Pool Ball.
Earl Pool Ball.
Earl Pool Ball.
Earl Pool
yeah,
Ball.
and he was here with the Flying Burrito Brothers, and he played piano for Johnny Cash for 20 years. Right. He's like a real legend there.
Yeah.
And I was playing pool in the Continental Club, which is a bar in Texas, in Austin. And Earl came in the back door and he said, "Oh, you're here to do gigs?" And I went, "No, I'm just here on holidays." And he said, "No, you got to come and play with me." So I went and played with him and some really great players. And I came up with a title, and I thought, I'm going to do an album of songs pertaining to alcohol. And we cut the album in a day. 4 of the guys I hadn't met, 6 of the songs I hadn't sung. We did the whole album live to tape, no overdubs.
Were you drinking during that?
No, we weren't drinking. No, we did 6 songs in the morning. We went for lunch, and we did 6 songs in the afternoon, mixed it that night, and it was done.
Wow. And you've had a long association in Perth with the Mustang Bar.
Yeah, I have, going back to with the Dude Ranch when we first started. Mike Keeler, who was then managing the Newport Hotel for Bill Oddie, and then Mike is one of the co-owners of the Mustang Bar. And Mike was fantastic for me because he supported my music for a long time. I did the Mustang Bar for 13 years on a Sunday.
Wow.
And Mike's always been, a great supporter of my music and really gave me somewhere to play, which sort of probably in a lot of ways, prolonged my career because in a time when it was virtually impossible to go out and play country music, Mike, gave us a place to play. So it was
strange,
a great
how
thing.
Things turn around, isn't it? Mm.
Well, yeah, I mean, that, when we were playing in the 80s, you could do, as I said, as many gigs a week as you wanted. We'd do unis through the day in the week, and then you do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a double on Fridays. Sometimes you might do a support for a touring band, then you do your own gig, then you might do Adrian's or something like that. And same thing on a Saturday night. It's
the only thing you could do in life that would get you 7 different girls a week, really.
Well, yeah, or more.
Yeah, or more.
Or more. You put a turnstile in the front door. It was a different time than it is now. People, unless you were there and you did it, they have no concept of how great the Perth music scene was.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Look, just for our viewers, I just want to let you know that please like us on YouTube and give us a thumbs up. And I'm just about to controversially cross my legs.
Oh, I've been crossing my legs. Is that a controversial thing to do?
It is on this show.
Is it?
Look,
really?
Just moving sideways.
Are the posture police around anywhere?
Mate, I get all this mail.
Really?
My suit, my tie, my
I think you're looking quite dapper, actually.
Thank you very much.
That's all right.
I'll kiss you later after the show. Look, so moving sideways, what other things, musicians, we have to supplement things in our lives because, money's not always there. Other things you've done in your life, Pete?
I was really fortunate in that from the time I was about 16 until I was about 47, 48, that's all I did.
It's only last year.
Yeah, it's only 6 months ago. Yeah. But so I was really very fortunate in that way, and I've had a bit of a charmed life that I've always played with great people and the whole thing sort of, fall into place. But like all musicians, you have to end up either living in a tent or getting a job. It's like that joke about, what's the difference between a large pizza and a musician? A large pizza will feed a family of 4. So, sooner or later you've got to get a job. Everyone's got to grow up.
Yes.
And so for the past sort of 12, 15 years, I've worked in the marine industry looking after boats for people.
Yep.
And then recently I've started working for my brother, who's a really talented guy and has a great company fairing and painting super yachts.
Do you want to say that again for give him
exclusive coding? So if you need your boat painted, give us a ring.
I know one Johnny Gardner that might want to get his boat painted.
Well, just give us a call.
Yep. No worries. So, what was your favourite band of all time, you think?
Have to be the Beatles, I think, for me. I mean, there's so many. But the Beatles, really, I was mad. I went and saw with my mum and dad A Hard Day's Night at the drive-ins, and I had some Beatle boots when I was like 5, and I was just mad on the Beatles, Rick and all that, just that look, Ludwig drums, the Rickenbackers, was pretty cool.
What would have been your favourite Perth band that you saw live?
Well, my favourite Perth band that I saw live, and not many people probably remember this band, but I used to go to the Sunday session at the Cottesloe, and there was this great band called Kicker that played country rock, and they played like the Amazing Rhythm Aces, the Outlaws, the Marshall Tucker Band.
Yeah.
Really, really great band.
Who was in that band, Pete?
Jeff Burham was in that band. Ross Bostock was in that band. There was a great piano player who was from Tamworth, actually, called Gary Steele. Peter Vincent was a drummer in that band. A really good band.
Yeah.
Have great memories of going and seeing that band.
And so what would your favourite TV show have been growing up?
When I was a kid, my favourite TV show was Lost in Space or Batman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Will Robinson, we've had that.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have any unfulfilled ambitions?
Not really, no. I would have liked to have raced sprint cars. That'd be good. But my brother would probably be better at that than me. He's got a heavier foot than I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would have loved to have had a go at that.
I think most of the Italians sort of cornered that market in Perth.
Well, they did, yeah. There's quite a few. I grew up next door to my brother's godfather, actually, a guy called Bill Sullivan, who was a really great racer, sidecar racer and super modified sprint car racer.
Yeah.
So my dad had motorbikes, so I sort of grew up with the mixture of music and fuel, you know, in equal degrees.
So if you were deserted on a desert island, you were alone, you had a week to think about what album you would take with you, what would it be?
Gee, there'd be so many. Probably anything by George Jones I'd take. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He's such a great singer.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you collect anything?
Yeah, my wife and I, who is, I was very fortunate to find a great girl. We got married about 5 years ago, and
What is her name?
Her name's Leonie.
Leonie. Yeah.
And she loves the same things I love, and so we collect cars, motorbikes, boots, guitars, amplifiers. Wembley.
She's cool about amplifiers.
Oh yeah, she's got better amplifiers than I've got. She's got a Blackface Super, a Blackface Deluxe.
Wow.
She's got great Gibsons. She's got great
She
guitars.
plays?
Yeah, she plays.
Wow.
Yeah, and so between us, we've got a lot of guitars.
So she had anything released or?
Yeah, she was in a band called the Heldorados in Sydney, which were a really good country band, and they made a couple of albums.
Fantastic.
And then she's a very talented woman. She's an architect, but she's a sommelier as well, and she had a restaurant in Austin in Texas.
Wow.
And lived there for 5 years. And so, yeah, again, I've had a very charmed life. And so we've got quite a few cars, and I've got some motorbikes and stuff. And
wow.
Yeah.
That's what you collect. And so what would you put on your gravestone?
Gee, I was telling Leonie this before I left. I reckon I'd put, just a young Aussie bloke having a red hot go.
Good on you, mate. Excellent. And is there something that for our audience that nobody knows about you that you can maybe? I'm sorry to hang this question on you. That you can enlighten us.
I don't know. Geez,
something that it could be something devilish or
devilish. No, not really. I don't think there is really anything that. There's probably nothing that's for public consumption. No, not really. I'll have to leave that one, Gary. I'll leave that one well alone.
No worries. You're winking at me nicely there, Pete. So I'll let you off with that one.
Yeah.
And look, congratulations on everything you've done, the golden guitar, all of the music you've provided us with, and here's some of it here. Some of your albums, Dude Ranch, Pete Bush and the Lone Rangers, The Father's Footsteps.
Which was a song about my dad. Yep. And at his funeral when he died, he was a big Hank Williams fan. He died on the same day as Hank Williams, New Year's Day. And I wrote this. It took me a while. I sort of never tried to write it because I knew if I tried to write it, I wouldn't be able to write it. Yes. And it just sort of came out. And Jim Fisher and myself at his funeral, we sang Will the Circle Be Unbroken. And when we came out of the funeral, there was a big ring around the sun.
Wow.
And it was there for about 10 minutes and then it just faded away. And so that's what the song's about, really. So
where can our viewers buy some of your work?
Usually at my gigs. Yeah, I've got them, but I don't really have them out in shops because for a long time I used to put them on consignment. And then you'd have this hassle of trying to get the money off people, and it was like just a big drama. So.
Could they possibly get them through ProCopy?
You could. Yeah.
ProCopy online, is it www.procopy.com.au?
Yep, I can make sure that Mark can contact me. we can get them out there. But I do sell them at gigs.
Yep.
And I just a side thing on Hank Williams. I went to Montgomery, Alabama. I've been twice, and the Hank Williams Museum's there in his grave, and I took some flowers to his grave, and then I went to the museum, and they've got the Cadillac that Hank Williams died in, and it's in the museum. And I said to the lady, "Oh, can I sit in the Cadillac?" And she was like, "No one's allowed to sit in the Cadillac." And I said, "Oh, I've come all this way." And she said, "Oh, hold on." She rang upstairs, and this guy came down, and he said, "Well, I suppose we could make an exception, And Hank Williams died in the back seat. He said, "Oh, I suppose we could make an exception, this time." So I lay down across the back seat where he actually died, and the guy was going like, "No, this is not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to sit in the driver's seat or something." So, I didn't do it the second time I went back. I thought I'd push my luck.
It takes an Aussie to actually...
Go outside the boundary.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think they probably still remember the guy that lay down in the back seat of the car.
Wow. Look, Pete, I really appreciate you coming in.
It's been a pleasure, Gary. Good on you.
Yeah, really nice to see you again. And,
thank you.
And keep on countrying or
Thanks,
rocking,
mate.
as they say, mate.
Good on you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers, mate. Look, that's all for tonight, but please don't forget to give us a thumbs up on YouTube and keep watching, and thank you very much.
And Memo to my room.
Stifling your brain. See it in their eyes, newspaper backs and other people's lives. That's where they're all the same. You live inside yourself, no need to explain. Send a memo to my room. In the street today, countless faces looking out for me. Sitting in the dark, reading books and learning all the parts. That's when the light comes on, when the moon goes down. No time to talk now. Send a memo to my room. Black and white with no grays in between. Every day's the same. Wake up, stand up, complain about the rain. That's when the gas comes on, when you're breathing hard. No time to talk now. Send a memo